Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Firing Up Your Kundalini with me. I thought this was a really good topic because everybody is always so interested in the Kundalini and how it works and what's going on with it. And I can tell you that we all know there's so much in the way of spiritual to connect to that. For example, it is a mind, body, spirit. I want to get into the whole aspect of how the Kundalini needs care from the mind, the body, and the spirit, so that when you fire up, you're balanced. You bring that into to work with you. For example, the first chakra. We look at the first chakra, and the physical aspects of the first chakra is the male testes and the female ovaries. That is the gland, and that's where creation begins, and that's where it kind of on the physical level unites. But on the mental, emotional level, it's about our security and being grounded and having all that we need it to be for basic survival. The negative aspect, when it flows in the negative, a person will feel a chronic sense of fear. It's where anxiety is created and a lack of security. They feel threatened and the world is against them. From the spiritual aspect of the first chakra, it corresponds to the basic life force, okay? The very basic. So that's where the snake lies coiled, and it gives our connection to earth. Now I'm going to give you another example because I want to talk a little bit about why these are all important for us. The third chakra, which is our solar plexus, the physical aspects attach to the adrenals. That's our fight or flight. That's where a lot of us kind of get that anxiety that disrupts the first chakra because it creates the fear and fight or flight or freeze. And it's relates to our energy, our digestion, and it's really important that we recognize that those chakras, which the Kundalini affects mind, body, spirit. Okay? So it affects our digestive system. When a person in the emotional sense of it gives them the sense if they're in the positive flow, they are the master of their emotions. So when they're in the negative flow, relationships, whether it be personal, one-on-one intimate relationships, or your family relationships, or the dynamics at work, if somebody is flowing in that negative flow and the adrenals are shot and you're creating fear constantly, you feel constantly attacked. And it's really hard to get back in that flow. It's hard to get that Kundalini to fire and create that spiritual balance if you're constantly struggling in that aspect. The spiritual aspect of the solar plexus is energy distribution. It's our personal power and our identity with humanity, with the people we associate with. It's how we fit into our world. And it creates that harmony if we're in the master of our emotions. We don't have that divisiveness going on. The next one I want to give you a little heads up on, just for example purposes, is the seventh chakra. Now, this gland goes to the master gland, the pituitary, okay? So it really has a lot to do with our seventh chakras. With our mental and emotional balance, a person will walk in light. They feel that connection to the source. They feel connected to everybody else and they're walking in peace. If it's in the negative flow of the mental and emotional, then they struggle with, is there a God? Is there a connection to this world? Is there anything of importance that, I don't believe in anything, and they feel threatened, and usually they've had a really bad religious experience for this to take part in. From the spiritual aspect of it, it's a God consciousness. It's the connection with the bigger picture. And if we can't see the bigger picture, then we're going to struggle with that fear in the solar plexus, and we're not going to be grounded in the roots. And that's just some of the reasons, some of the information on chakras that I wanted to go through before we really kind of look at, everybody wants that spiritual epiphany. They want that spiritual connection, but they don't want to actually understand that what you have to do physically to get that, because that's a lot of hard work. Or is it? Because it's really not. If we meditate, that's taking care of the emotional and mental aspects of it, calms us down. So meditating every day or even every other day, even if you're only getting 10 to 15 minutes in, it gives you a grounding. It gives you that solid foundation that you can kind of move through all your emotions. But it's our physical aspect that we're not really understanding with the Kundalini. Now, when I did cranial sacral therapy, you're looking at the durotube, okay? The durotube goes up the spine and it nourishes the nerves and it has its own flow. That's why it's cranial sacral. It's the fluid that goes around the head, down the tube to the sacrum, and it helps to send the signals to our body, to our organs. It helps to understand that durotube is where the Kundalini resides in. It's truly there in the durotube, and that fires up with that fluid, with that power that lights our chakras. Now, a lot of our durotubes get kinked because we've had accidents and injuries. Our body hasn't been nourished sometimes as well as it should be. We might be a little too acidic. We might be a little too alkaline. And yes, there is such a thing as being too alkaline. And we're not understanding that kink, that pressure of too much belly weight and not enough core strength. It's not, I don't care how big your size, it's if you have the core strength. And having that core strength means that you can move that spine in flexibility, you can tip, you can move, and it allows those kinks to work themselves out. It's really important that we address the physical aspects of our body if we hope to increase our spirit gifts or if we want to raise our level of awareness or consciousness, because just meditating, just being a good person doesn't always get it. And we still have those struggles, and so we can slide into depression, we can slide into victimhood. And that one's the one that I really would like to see people step out of more. It's not a matter of, life does really, we bring to our own life really wild experiences, not pleasant all the time. And instead of being a victim to it, if we raised our consciousness and kept our body in moving with that Kundalini, we would understand what we're doing better. It's vitally important to us from a physical aspect to keep that kink out of the durotube, so that when you are meditating, you get more benefit from it. Now, what are some of the things that you can do? Well, let me tell you, okay? To create core strength, posture is the first beginning. Just rolling your hips. I wished I could have a little side deal where you could see me on the side, but you need to kind of roll your hips into neutral so that your shoulders are on top of your hips, not sitting with your chest back or hunched over like this, because that doesn't do anyone any good. That curves the spine, that puts pressure in different aspects. When you sit in neutral, you also tuck your belly in, and tucking that belly in provides that core strength. It also massages your intestines. It massages your other organs. Your diaphragm drops down. You start to breathe more deeply and more rhythmically. With more oxygen, proper use of oxygen, your brain isn't as foggy. And your meditations can go even deeper. Now, we can do this by walking. We can do it by yoga. We can do, hi Pat. We can do it, even if it's chair yoga. We can do these things. We can hula hoop. I thought about that this morning when I realized, yay, Johanna's coming back to work. So hula hooping, learning how to use that hula hoop to move that spine and get some flexibility in there is really beneficial to the body. And then we have some ball work. You can do this at your own house. You can do it in your bed. I'm really a lazy person, so I did this with all my clients. You're going to take a ball. These are your legs, okay? You take the ball and you tip your side to side, laying flat so that your legs go side to side and you're just waving from side to side. This moves that spine all the way up. You can also take those noodles, the pool noodles, and with the pool noodle, you can cut it. It's about 3.5 feet. You put it at the top of your head and you put your tailbone on it and you just move side to side like you're a spider crawling up, okay? That allows that massaging to happen. It allows your core to get some movement going in it, and it really helps stretch those muscles out, which is really, really good. Another thing you can do, I know they're not identical balls, but you put the balls at the base of your spine, right under your occipital, and you just lay there. And this compresses like it holds a cranial sacral pose is what it does. And it reestablishes the rhythm, okay? So you can use bigger tennis balls if you'd like and put them right there underneath and just let your head hang back. And that will force that dural fluid, which has, like I said, a rhythm all of its own, to reestablish the flow, okay? There's another ball work you can do. I know this one's going to seem a little silly, but you can put your feet on the ball and raise your butt up, okay? That's going to start giving you some core strength, especially down in the lower rectus abdominis muscles, okay? And the reason that you want that there is because that's the movement of the first 3 chakras, especially the ones that don't get really stimulated, which is that second, your intuition. So you want to really work the ball that way. You can also work the ball by taking it from your hands, okay? This being your hands, passing it between your legs and back again, okay? These are real easy to do. You don't need a real big ball to do it with. You do need to be able to hold it comfortably. And you do these exercises and you're going to reestablish the firing of that flow of the Kundalini. Now, I can tell you there's a lot of different personality things that can happen when you light up your Kundalini. All of a sudden you start to realize, wow, life isn't really as bad as I thought it was, because you're no longer victimizing yourself to the circumstance that you found yourself in. The other aspect is when your Kundalini starts to fire, you're more willing to make changes. And your intuition works better, so it's guiding you stronger. You can go for a dozen readings all the time, but you're not with a psychic every day unless you are a psychic, and we doubt what we get on our own intuitive hits. So creating that Kundalini going, getting it firing, creates that deeper connection with ourselves. It also allows us to be in control of our lives and be that master of our emotions that we need to be, and staying out of the fight or flight and not engaging people in divisive talk or arguments or pettiness. It's not worth it. But we need to get that Kundalini going. We need to start really understanding. Now, sometimes when the Kundalini starts to fire, you can feel a flash of heat shoot up your spine. You can also feel like trembling, just really kind of going and just really unwinding, and it will change a lot of your physical attributes. You'll look more calm, you'll be more peaceful, your behavior is more engaging, you've got a glow about you where you're really kind of working that aspect. Things will still happen and things will still move on, but if you activate your Kundalini by doing some exercises, taking care of the nutritional value of your body, and doing these things, disease steps away. The higher in consciousness we go, the less we pay the price in the aging process. It is a matter of not having the same stress levels to create illness. It's not having, don't get me wrong, we still have illness. I'm not going to say you're not going to get sick if you do this. I'm going to say that you're not going to have really bad sicknesses all the time. And you're going to recover better. You're going to make it through stronger when you start taking care of that signal that goes up and down your spine. I mean, when the brain says, hey, I need some adrenals, you don't want it getting stuck on hit the adrenals, hit the adrenals, hit the adrenals, and keep hitting the adrenals, because you're going to go into adrenal fatigue. When you go into adrenal fatigue, you're going to end up with insulin resistance, diabetes, and you're going to end up with a lot of other aspects of life that you don't really want to deal with. So think about what you can do and how important that DuraTube is. It's, if you can get to a chiropractor to get some adjustments, that's good too. Get your spine straightened out, get some deep massage going on so that you really move those muscles that are so tight because we've been sitting at our computer, sitting at our desk, sitting in the chair at night, because God knows we've all been stuck sitting for the last year. And now it's time to start thinking about moving. And while you're starting to move, I want you to think about moving your DuraTube, moving that energy, getting that Kundalini firing, so that you move into a higher place of peace and harmony with yourself. Well, that's all I have for you today. I wish you all a very happy Easter and a happy Good Friday. And I will talk with you soon. My heart to all of yours. Mwah. Bye now.